Well, if you have a cell phone, you know how annoying scam calls and texts can be. But if you're not careful, these scammers can steal your sensitive information and money in seconds. We've been hearing more and more about how these scammers are becoming more advanced, and it's hard to know what's real and what's a scam. Tonight, we sit down with the Attorney General to look at some of these new techniques to keep you and your wallet safe.
This is Sergeant C.N. Reagan with the Little Rock Police Department. I'm looking to make contact with a woman, Miss Ashley Smith.
This is a voicemail Ashley Smith of Little Rock received on her cell phone only a few weeks ago. The scammer urging her to call them immediately.
He said that I had missed court the day before, and I explained to him what court was he talking about. He said I was served papers back in October. I was subpoenaed to court and I had missed it.
This voicemail is one of the latest tactics scammers are using to convince you to send them money or sensitive information. Investigators say these calls often prey on your emotion.
He then explained to me that I had a gag order, that I needed to go to the police department and see the paperwork because he said I did sign my name. And I told him I didn't. He said, well, somebody else did sign your name and you need to figure out who this is.
Smith says the scammer then demanded money. Concerned that the call was legitimate, she says her heart began racing.
I just kept telling him, you need to call my attorney, and he hung up on me at that point.
Smith says the scam was so convincing, after hanging up, she even tried fact-checking the scammer to see if a Sergeant Reagan was a real person.
That's when we called Internal Affairs, explained to them what happened. And they said that there was a sergeant named Reagan, but that wasn't him. And that somebody is pretending to be a sergeant from Little Rock Police Department.
She may not have lost any money, but Smith tells us she's shocked at how advanced and convincing scams are becoming. Attorney General Tim Griffin agrees.
And we are always trying to analyze and figure out the new innovative ways that they're using to scam Arkansans. And we're making great progress, but it's always a fight. It never ends.
Griffin has been on the front lines of fighting scams for years. One of the techniques he's tried to crack down on now, robocalls.
What they're doing is, with a lot of these robocalls, is they are calling from out of the country, and they are using U.S. companies to route the calls through and then call you.
This latest technique, Griffin says, allows scammers to bypass do not call lists. And as scammers are advancing, Griffin is doing what he can to stay ahead of the scammers. Back in 2023, Griffin, alongside other states, won a huge settlement. It prohibits companies like this from directing robocalls to Arkansas.
There may be a company in North Carolina or Texas or somewhere that's doing something to facilitate these robocalls, that's being a clearinghouse for these scam calls. And that's exactly what we found. So we have had cases where we have gone after some of these companies out of state and we have stopped them.
But techniques to bypass do not call lists aren't the only concern for Griffin. Some scammers are even spoofing caller IDs to make you more likely to fall for their scheme. The Federal Communications Commission describes it like this.
Spoofers often use your area code, so a call may seem like it's from a neighbor, a local company, or even a government agency. They can get you at hello, even if no one's on the line. Sometimes scammers use spoofed robocalls to see if your line is live so they can target you later. Or you may be prompted to push a button on your phone to hear an important message.
The Attorney General says just because the caller ID looks familiar or may come from a familiar area code, don't fall for it.
Delete the texts and the emails and hang up on the phone calls.
And if you're still unsure, Smith says using her technique of fact-checking and cross-referencing doesn't hurt either.
Call the energy company, call the police department, and find out from the real source what's going on. And that's when you can know, okay, this is a scam.
Now, if you unfortunately do fall victim to one of these scams can be reported to the Attorney General's office by emailing consumer@arkansasag.gov or submitting the robocall or scam call reporting form. And if you've lost money because of a scam, all is not lost. You can submit a consumer complaint online or call 482-8982.